Back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Big sports week around here. Everybody tuned in for all things NFL draft, but we've got some other things on the mind. Bill Cole joins us now from Cole Roofing, and of course, Gordian Energy. I drink out of the mug. Billy, if I turn the lights up a little bit here, it'll help your mug illuminate on the YouTube and the Facebook Live, but it is your mug, I promise you. Hey, man, what's going on? Happy spring to you, man. It's a good time or bad time in the roofing business. Good weather. I'm trying to think of what good weather helps and what it hurts. I know that hurricanes, help Home Depot. That's what I know.
Yeah, no, it's good, real good time. I mean, we can get a lot done now, so it's nice. It's good weather to work in. Everybody's pretty much happy because the sun's out. So yeah, no, it's a fun time to be working with your hands outdoors.
All right, look, it's big sports week, right? We got the draft going on, the NHL, the Orioles are playing, and someone cares. You and I got together, about 8 months ago, 9 months ago. You've been a sponsor here for a number of years. You've been friends. And we started talking about the city and things that are going right in the city and wrong in the city. And I told you I was going to put my house on the market. Shout out to Lee Tessier. Anybody who wants to buy my condo, give Lee a call. And we started talking about the problems in the city and the football stadium. And, we take these issues on around here. We don't run from them. And the Baltimore Positive thing started right around the holidays. You sent me some verbiage, and Don Moeller sent me some verbiage. My dear friend Billy Yerman has also been involved in this stew as well. And now it's sort of picking up some momentum because it's a podcast, it's a website. We've got Dutch Rupersberger kicking this thing off next Thursday night over at Pizza John's. We're going to be swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry, sort of replacing, Raven live shows. People say to me, why don't you bring the Ravens players out anymore? And I'm like, well, they don't really want to come anymore. And John doesn't want them to come, and the organization doesn't want them to come, and that's just where we are. That's business in 2019. So I'm thinking to myself, getting out and doing things. Who are people who want to talk, who want to make the place better? Because it is my opinion that the biggest problem we have right now is the demise of Baltimore. And when I go to business leaders in Harford County and in Carroll County and in Anne Arundel County and in places where I got fired because the Ravens took a knee, that I hear so many business people say, I don't go downtown anymore. I'm afraid of downtown. I don't like the squeegee boys. I don't know where to park my car. My favorite restaurant's not there anymore. All of these things that business people are hearing. And if you're out and you're just a regular old person in Falston that just goes to the mall and goes home and works somewhere on the internet and you didn't go to an Oriole game this summer, what would bring you to Baltimore? And, I put it to you, and my challenge over the next year and a half is we elect the next mayor, which we shall, in this city, is making sure that the next mayor here is better than the last 3 we've had.
Yeah, we don't probably have the, I was going to say intellectual capacity, but I shouldn't judge you like that. I don't know if we can do the economics lesson that reinforces this statement, but so goes Baltimore, so goes the state.
Fair enough.
Right?
That's spoken like a true roofer who's been at it for 100 years.
Right. I mean, you have to fundamentally agree with that position. And I believe a large percentage of the population doesn't really understand that, think about that, worry about that. I'm out in the county. I'm safe out here. It's all good. And they don't understand or spend the time thinking about the fact that if we don't address the problems in the city, it holds the whole state back. And that's not just a crime statement. That's a business statement. That's an economic, growth statement.
And that's also a statement about your schools in Baltimore County and your schools in Anne Arundel County and your safety at East Point Mall and your safety at White Marsh Mall. And, that's just the city's problem. Bill, I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to throw myself on the mercy of the constituency, okay? Because it's a true statement. The night that the city caught on fire here, I was coming back from my first flight out of the country with my wife after her first leukemia battle. It was about a month and a half, 2 months before my baseball tour was going to start. My wife was just getting her hair back. She couldn't even sit in the sun, and we went to a beach, but she had to sit under a tree because after her first transplant, she couldn't be in the sun for 2 years because of what the sun could do to your skin condition, which could kill you, literally. A sunburn would have killed her. She was very warned about that. So we're flying back after a nice little relaxing 4 days after she spent 80 in the hospital trying to stay alive. And we're descending into America on an airplane, and we got into American airspace. My wife had her iPad up, and we did not put the phone on. We did not put the television on for 4 days, and it was the Monday night of the riots. And I guess the unrest began at Oriole Park. I started to see the images of it as I was landing on an international flight where I was going to get rubbed down. The minute you land, you can't even really put your phone on. Rule number one in customs is don't have your phone on, right? So, or don't be on your phone. So we landed, and I've got 15 messages, people telling me, don't go home, don't go home, don't go home. I'm like, my cat is home, I'm going home. And we got home that night, and everything was fine downtown, and I saw the smoke and the smoldering from North and Pennsylvania Avenue, from everything that had gone on over there. And then I saw on the right side the fireball from, let's say, North, and it looked to be around Harford Road, but obviously it was a little bit east of there where the courthouse and where Sears used to be. And that fireball was several stories high. It was a legitimate inferno of flames. I have pictures, I have videos. And the night that the place caught on fire, Game 7, much like, being at Silver Spring Mining Company on Wednesday night in Hunt Valley for Game 7 of the Caps and the Hurricanes, it was Game 7 of the Islanders and the Caps. And I was rushing home to, watch the game. So I've got the game on the flat screen in the middle, and you know where I live on the 23rd floor downtown. I can see the entire city, literally the entire city. So I could see the smoke to the northwest, and then I could see the fireball to the northeast. And I turned to my wife, and it was almost like the Indian in the old commercial with the tear in his eye. I said to my wife, I'm like, I said the same thing that President Trump said when he found out that firing Comey was a really bad idea. We're effed! We're effed, is what I said. And I filled in the U and the C and the rest of it, right? And I turned to my wife and I'm like, the city's never going to be the same again. So we're going to lose so much business because of this. Businesses are going to go out of business. People are going to leave. People are going to be afraid to come. I mean, in real time, I'm like, how much of the city is going to burn down? Is my building next? What else is going on out there right now amidst this lawlessness? Because I remember the looting during snowstorms in the 70s, And I'm thinking to myself, this is really a bad thing, and it's really hard for me to concentrate on Game 7 right now, Game 7 suddenly isn't so important, right? And I remember the next day having this, right? This audience, this video, the microphone, all 100,000 of you, business owners like you, people I grew up with, white people, black people, old people, rich people, poor people, Jewish people, Christian people, agnostic people, whatever. I mean, just people, right? And I did what any coward would do, Bill Cole. I went on the air the next day and talked about the Caps and talked about the Orioles and talked about the draft, which was that week, right? And I said, I'm not getting involved in this. Let these black people and these black people and these white people and these white people and these right people and these right left people and hey, man, that's why we elected the mayor, and that's why we pay the cops, and that's why we pay Mosby, and that's what. Let them go sort it out. I'm going to stay here and be a good citizen, right? Because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, right? I would have just been some ranting lunatic like those lunatics over at CNN with signs running around, making a big scene, right? Black lives matter, all lives matter. My life matters, your life matters, everybody's life matters, right? So I hear all of this, and I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything. Even though I knew the city was burning down, the after effects I was going to feel personally, professionally. I didn't realize that 4 years later, my wife wouldn't be able to walk to the CVS after dark. I didn't realize that 4 years later, a guy named Albo that tends bar 5 blocks away would be murdered in the streets. I didn't realize we would have a stand-down mayor who was an idiot, and then the next mayor be corrupt. I mean, openly, brazenly, a bribe queen. I mean, that's what she's a bribe queen, right? That's where we are. And I kept my mouth shut when the city was on fire. Dude, dumbest thing I've ever done. Right? Like, maybe rolling my sleeves up when I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, but I know what I'm talking about now. And 4 years later, watching all of this with my eyes and through the eyes of people like you who've been getting on the roofs in our community for 100 years and go into some of those neighborhoods that some folks don't want to go into. And, you know, it's got to get better, dude. You know, I mean, somebody, a bunch of us need to do better than boarding up the condo while the city's on fire and 4 years later saying, what the hell has happened? I'm 150 grand upside down on my condo and I can't give it away. And no one wants to come to a ball game and no one wants to come down and eat Italian food at my favorite Italian restaurant. And every time I put television on, they're bagging on Baltimore. Every time I go to Pasadena, every time I go to Bel Air, I'm not going to Baltimore. That's got to change, bro. That's got to change, man.
I agree, and I would ask what changed in your mindset to want to have the courage to talk, but at the same time,
because I'm in it. I'm the pig, right? I'm the pig in the meal. I mean, I can't leave.
But during that 4-year time span, we built a new building that's now the tallest building in Baltimore, right next to where you are. There's another really nice place across the street from where you are. There's a huge multifamily unit going up over on a basically new peninsula that is Exelon headquarters that, sat empty for, 20 years, as long as I can remember, because of the contamination in the soil. I drove over a new bridge downtown the other day that I didn't know existed that now exists that connects Harbor East down there a little bit. So in spite of all those things, which all the things you said are true, all those other really good things are going on. Oh, by the way, we're starting a 220-acre redevelopment on a piece of property south of the city. That flagship will be Under Armour, but I think by the time that thing's done, people will talk about Under Armour being over there, but it's going to be a lot more than that, and it's going to be pretty amazing. And then my fear is, what's going to happen to the Central Business District, because it's been carved out by Harbor East and then this other thing. So that's a worry, but that's a worry that only exists in a city that seemingly is thriving despite all kinds of problems and under the radar, and only the people that live here know, the good stuff that's happening. So I encourage your thought process of saying, hey, we need to be accountable for these things. We need some leadership. Like, we can't have a corrupt mayor. We need to have a good police department.
We got to have law and order. I can't have the same 40 kids on dirt bikes terrorizing the city every Sunday afternoon. Like, that's been going on for 10 years. Where the hell are the cops? Where is the leadership? Where is the communities that watch these kids come through at 60 miles an hour through downtown streets on Sunday afternoons, terrorizing the city, and nothing is done about it? Well, seriously. What city do you drive in ever where you are greeted by young people coming up to your car, accosting your car, essentially asking for $1 toll in order to pass through the red light? What modern city in the world? I assure you, I've been to London, I've been to Paris, I've been to Madrid, I've been to Sydney, I've been to Auckland, I've been to Beijing, I've been to Tokyo, I've been to Hong Kong. This does not happen. It doesn't happen in Toronto, where I'm trying to find 40 idiots to get on a bus with me in December and go up to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe drink some beer, have some fun. You want to go to Buffalo, Bill?
I don't know. There's not much there for me,
people in Buffalo say that about Baltimore.
I'm sure they do.
They do.
Look, tourism, I don't have the tourism numbers for our city, but I'm going to find them out, right? Because we have a lot of affordable housing, and we have a lot of blue-collar, middle-income families. And tourism is a great business that supports all that. It can support the young people that need jobs, and our tourism is atrocious. That'd be my guess. Like I said, I don't have the numbers, but in light of all the things you just said, I can't imagine we're like winning any awards for having great tourism numbers.
I'll give you one thing that really affected my life. I've lived down here 16 years. I mean, nothing's affected my life more than the Orioles going out of business, right? Like, literally, like, there has been nothing to my eyeballs. And that's not a sports guy. That's a Baltimore guy, right? 16 years of living here, knowing what 2.4 real million people look like downtown on summer nights, looking like what 30,000 people flooding into the city on 80 nights looks like. Do the math on that. That's 8 times 3. Last I checked in Colgate Elementary, Miss Johnson told me that was 24. That's 2.4 million people. They're going to tell you that X amount of... They announced the crowd at 28,000 last week, dude. They announced the crowd at 28,000. There might have been 10 in the ballpark. Maybe. And now that it's an Expos game, I mean, Monday and Tuesday this week, it was atrocious. And getting people into the city, that would be the number one thing. But the Otakon, dude. The Otakon convention every year, we called it Nerd Fest, and I'm sure my buddy Jimmy Voles, who I grew up with and who lived in my father's house on Bank Street as a child, who was one of the founders of Otakon, my buddy, brought thousands of people here every summer, all dressed in various Japanese anime and, you know, whatever was going on, whatever fantasies they have in the manga world. Thousands of people downtown for, 4 days, all weekend long, eating, drinking. You know, it was a Halloween fest, basically. Downtown became Halloween in August every year. That's in Philadelphia now, by the way. So That's gone. So, and that breaks my heart because we love that. We love just going and walking and watching and seeing the outfits. You know,
Sure.
it was a scene. We need more of that, dude. We the IRL thing. Whoever bought off that mare for that, I mean, PU. You know, we're trying to get World Cup games here. I mean, let's go.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
I'm tired of sitting here waiting for stuff to happen, Bill. I'm tired of
Yeah.
sitting here waiting for Catherine Pugh to make my life better. That's not happening. She's not making your life better at Cole Roofing either, by the way.
Yeah. Fundamentally, I think the tourism is a pillar that can help a lot, and it can be a launching pad, and it's happened in they've done it in other cities.
But here's the problem. When a tourist comes in here and they're accosted by squeegee boys at the top of my street, and then accosted by squeegee boys at the next block, and then accosted by 3 bums at the next block, and then when they go to park their car, 3 bums come up to them trying to sell them parking tickets, like the act that my wife and I, the shell game that I dealt with in Fells Point, trying to go over to Sammy's to get some pasta last year.
Okay,
it's got to stop.
So you're making that a law and order point, okay?
Hell yeah. The first thing a tourist sees. By the way, I'll give you a story. I went to a beautiful event with Offit Kerman. Jim Rees and Brian Lawson invited me. It was over at Plank's place at the Sagamore thing, right? It's a couple of Thursdays ago. I'm over there, and beautiful night. Stiff drinks, good conversation. Had great conversation with some people that your name came up. They know you, right, in the business space. And a lot of the people there were from Annapolis for some reason. Like, I met 3 people that called Annapolis home. So that means they drove into the city. And I said to all of them, what do you think of Baltimore? And the one guy's like, I got to be honest with you, man. I haven't been up here in like 3 years. And tonight's the first night that I drove up here. And I said, how did you get here? He's like, I took the freeway. I came off, and the shipping port here with the cruise ship and Kevin's place, and he's looking out at basically Sparrows Point, right? Like, the view there is of marshy, worthy, industrial Baltimore and the Key Bridge. You know what I mean? It's not a very attractive view from the. But I mean, it is if you like a rustic. Correct. If you like what Scotland looks like, it kind of looks like that. So, murky water, it's not Miami Beach, but it's a view. And he said, this is really lovely what you guys are doing here in Baltimore and fixing Baltimore. And this is a lovely, and he said, I have a really good opinion of Baltimore. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, great. Tell me, so I found the one guy in Annapolis who's had this great experience in Baltimore. And I'm thinking, how do we get more of that? How do we bring more people in here? Because if he would have driven up past the warehouse and seen the trash, the 4 bums at the corner at the warehouse, the 12 squeegee kids on bikes, squirting his car before it even stops, let alone asking for permission when you pull up where the reserve is, and then you get hit on Conway by the same bum who's not homeless, who's been panhandling for 16 years on my corner. This is my life, Bill. And I love Baltimore. I'm not selling against it, but that's got to stop. That can't be the bus and the tourists' first experience landing at the light rail station because they've got a room at the Sheraton or the Hyatt or the Royal Sonesta, and the first thing they're going to encounter is the stuff that they saw on The Wire, dude. You know what I mean? Like, literally.
I agree. I think that's a really important piece. I mean, I do find consistency with, and I don't know whether people are just being nice because they can tell that I bleed the city, right? But it's like everyone has a good experience. So when tourists get here and they're in a controlled environment and you manage them and you get them to the right place and you get them in the right environments and they know where to go. I mean, we have Uber. I mean, it's really easy to get in and out of here. BWI is great. The trains are great. So they have a good experience. I hear you. It can turn in an instant if you pull up at the red light and you're accosted. No doubt about it. So
my buddy said to me, he brought his truck up, he got his car keyed, and he's not coming back. Because when they key your car, you can't get out and beat them up. Right. And you can't shoot them. Right. And if you yell at them, there's 12 of them and there's one of you and your wife's in the passenger seat. I had a squeegee boy stick a squeegee into my vehicle last June at the corner of Highland and Orleans or 40 or whatever, Pulaski, whatever it's called at that corner, where I grew up. Literally, my dad and I stood on that corner getting the number 20 bus to go downtown more times than I can count. I ate at the McDonald's on that corner more times than I can count. I've gotten seafood from the seafood place on the corner there more times than I can count. And I'm at that corner, broad daylight, driving to Chaps to get a pit beef sandwich with my wife last June. My wife's driving, and the kid insulting us, insulting my wife, telling my wife that she, should perform fellatio on him. He's 12, by the way. The kid's 12. And he's got the squeegee in my face in the car. And we're at a red light. And I'm thinking, if I'm driving and this kid's doing it to my wife, I'm probably hitting I'm wondering what my recourse is. Do I hit the gas? Call the police. Like, I'm not doing that, right? So Now what happens? What are these 12 and 13-year-old boys doing at the corner of Highland and Orleans Street on a Saturday at 1 o'clock, sticking squeegees in people's... And I'm sure I was not the only victim that day.
No,
and I'm sure I'm not the only one headed toward Harford County that said, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, but I guess
that can't happen, though. That happens to me. I don't go on the radio or on social media, but I'm outraged, dude, and I don't care who knows it. And now that we've had a mayor who's corrupt, when I was wondering the night that we were accosted down in Fells Point in front of Sammy's, I was wondering who's running the place. Oh, now I get it. No one was running the place. That's why the place has gone to hell. No one's running it. Someone needs to run it. And you know who needs to run it? Bill, the citizens. You know what I mean? Like waiting on politicians or waiting on Kevin Plank or waiting on Steve Bisciotti, who's smoking a cigar on a boat right now and not wearing socks somewhere off a golf course, because that's what he's doing right now. That is not... Or thinking football players are going to come in and sign some autographs and read some books. That's all great. That's all great. But we need real leadership here. We need a real plan here. That Catherine Pugh and Stephanie Rawlings-Blake and Sheila Dixon with the gift, they did not have a plan. We need a real plan here that is a citizen-oriented plan.
I'm all on board with that. I think my frustration to your story is, where should those 12 and 13-year-old kids be?
We need to find an outlet for them to be employed,
but
yes.
Look at all the
Being
money.
on corners is not an entrepreneurial zone. It's not.
Look at all the money that came in. Well, I can tell you the amount of money that's being spent in rec centers and, neighborhood, like.
I was at the UA house the day they opened. Thomas Dolby was at my house the other night. He's a big part of doing that. Torrey Smith's a big part of doing that. Living Classrooms is a big part of doing that. Hey, man, I mean, there are a lot of good people trying to do good things here, but when the person running the place is corrupt, we got problems. I mean, we need integrity top down,
Well, Explain to me how, and I appreciate the UA house and Living Classroom and all the things that those guys do, but show me explain to me the path, like how does that work? Right?
You know what? That's what Baltimore Positive. Thank you for promoting Baltimore Positive, because that is a great challenge to bring on the directors of these places and say, I know you want to be accountable, and I know whatever your educational background or your bureaucratic background or your educational, scientific, whatever that is, tell me in an elevator speech, in a TED Talk, in 30 to 45 minutes on my show, sit on my show, and tell me how you're making the city better. Like, literally. I mean, that's what Baltimore Positive is for me, is tell me where you're taking a weakness and making it a strength, or tell me where you're taking a strength and making it stronger. I mean...
Look, if the answer from them is, well, we're having impact, the issue is that it's just it's a drop in the bucket, right? It's a needle in a haystack. Like, it's just such a small impact, and here's the 5 things that could really give us rocket fuel to transform a community quicker. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that piece of information with us. Like, it can't be about money. Money has been pouring into the city, into the education system, and into workforce development. Money came in. Now, I will say, it's interesting the difference between if you have a natural disaster in your city and you get federal
unless
money
you're in Puerto Rico, by the way, unless you're in Puerto, if you're my skin color and you need federal help, good luck with that right now. By the way.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a fact.
I understand.
Dude,
that's fine.
The leader of the free world flew into a natural disaster zone and threw toilet paper at people. Like, that literally happened. I'm not making that up. That literally happened.
Paper towels. I don't know if they're toilet paper, but I hear you. Look, all I'm telling you is if you go to New Orleans...
Worse, because the toilet paper would have flushed. The paper towels clog it up. So, yes.
Right. If you go to New Orleans after Katrina and you talk to those people and you find out how much money came in and the impact that it had, if you go to South Carolina after, I might have my hurricane, but I think it was Hugo, right? The amount of money that comes in after natural disasters. So we have classified human disasters incorrectly, right? And we haven't figured out how to support that through funding, or because again, we're just, I'm a roofer and you're a sports guy. We don't have all the data that these people have, right? Like,
and by the way, I might not believe all the data either. That's what makes me a libertarian, right? Like,
sure,
whatever you're going to put in front of me.
Been stolen. Tell me how much money's been stolen. Look, the federal government gave the city $1 billion or whatever. You can look it up on the internet. It's like 21st century school program or whatever to fix all the schools in Baltimore City, right? Not to fix them all. It was a nice chunk of change to try and help with the schools.
It was an infusion of resources, right?
Go look at how they've deployed that capital. And look, it's not an accident that the Stadium Authority is the group who's in charge of deploying the capital. So Baltimore City Public Schools are going to get all this work done. The Stadium Authority is managing the bid procurement process, right? And then go look at what they're doing and what they're building, and then we can have a conversation about that.
All right, fair enough. By the way, I am Steve Walters is coming on the show before the Preakness to talk about the Preakness, and I'll be talking about the Preakness next month. Probably more candid than the Maryland Jockey Club host that I will. But there's another,
We can talk about that. Well, I got a really good one for that.
All right, next week. Can we do that? Can I have you promote your roofing company? Because you and I have gotten into this. Boy, I mean, this has gone from Dr. Melfi to straight on,
complaint session.
Khrushchev Kennedy, I think here at this point. Here's Bill Cole. He's co-roofing. We're doing Baltimore Positive. Dutch Ruppersberger will join us next Thursday night, the 2nd, at Pizza John's. We'll begin around 5 o'clock. Don Moeller, Mike Kimosabi, partner in crime, former Baltimore County executive. You can hear him in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault as well. Tell me what you do on roof spaces, including solar, which I think is just a great conversation unto itself.
Sure.
Yeah, what to do with these young people in America? Let's create energy and create food. How about that? And clean the city up and create civic resources that we can all enjoy.
Let's create next generation jobs, right? So rather than training people and put them into careers that destroyed by automation, let's put them in jobs. I mean, we're going to continue to build solar. So we co-roofing, 100-year-old commercial roofing contractor in Baltimore. Everything from a leak to repairs to total roof replacements, schools, shopping centers, hospitals, all the like, smaller commercial buildings. Just good people doing honest work. And
only 100 years, that's all. Just 100
right.
years. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to the celebration with you as well. Have you ever seen the ad in the old Oriole program that's with the 4 guys peeing in the alley that says we take leaks seriously?
I believe you told me about that.
It's a plumbing
I never
company,
saw it.
but every time you talk, when you say leaks, it is the Beavis and Butthead in me, right? It is the Andrew Dice Clay that so longs to work blue.
Right.
That, I still have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy from Dundalk, I think so.
I get it.
He is Bill Cole. He's Cole Roofing.
Young.
Yep, and Gordian Energy, and you can go look at the Gordian knot and learn about that. Dude, I'm done for now, okay? I mean, we've only just begun to fight, and I guess
let's talk Pimlico next time. I love that. I mean, with the Preakness and Pimlico, that I don't think people realize how big of a important story that really is.
Hi-ho, Pimlico. All right, we'll see you soon, bud.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Bill Cole Roofing, joining us here, and Baltimore Positive, about to launch next week with Don Moeller. You've heard about it. I've talked about it. Now you're going to see what it is, because I'm measuring what it is, because I'm not going back. I'm not keeping my mouth shut anymore. I live here. And some of the stories I just relayed to you are stories that have happened in real time, and I'm like, I don't want to be the guy bitching about it out on the internet. I don't want to make it worse than it already is. It's bad enough. Well, I'm getting a shovel and we're going to fix it. That's what Baltimore Positive is. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram, as I have been from the very, very beginning. The BuyAToyota.com audio vault is there 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. The kids call it podcasting. You can listen to what you want, when you want, where you want. All the NFL draft stuff there. Some baseball, some hockey with Ed Frankovic. Some Baltimore Positive. And, of course, hope that you come eat some pizza. Every time I put pizza up on Pizza John's, they're like, I love Pizza John's. Next Thursday, come on out. Eat some pizza with us. 15% of all proceeds that night go to There Goes My Hero. So come on out, support our charity. Say hello to Dutch. Learn a little bit about cybersecurity. Eat some pizza. Eat some pizza. Learning about Cuba. Nasty at WNST.net is the hotline. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking. Baltimore Positive and Baltimore Sports.